Tortured Existence is one of my favorite Pauper decks, definitely my favorite right now, and I'm going to explain what it does to people that don't know at all. You use this card, Tortured Existence, to loop graveyard value from discarding cards from your hand, bringing them back from your graveyard, doing it over and over again to get tons of nonsense value. You're going to play, obviously, 4 Tortured Existence, and then 4 Commune with the Gods to search out Tortured Existence. If you don't have either of these cards in your opening hand, especially game 1, you're probably going to want a mulligan. One of the best cards to loop with Tortured Existence is Sakura-Tribe Elder. This ramps you really, really hard, and Torax is an extremely mana-hungry deck, so this is one of the best cards to have in your opening hand. Then I'm going to be playing 2 Satyr Wayfinders. Some people play Tilling Treefolk, but what happens a lot of the time is you get stuck with these really, really clunky hands where you don't have anything to like sacrifice, put in your graveyard to then loop, and then Tilling Treefolk sits in your hand and doesn't do anything. Satyr Wayfinder functions like a Tilling Treefolk. It helps you hit your land drops, and it fills up your graveyard with good cards that you can loop. The best cards to loop are your Dredgers. I play 4 Stinkweed Imp and 3 Brownscale. I used to play 4 Brownscale until I put this in the deck, because this lets you fill up your graveyard really, really nicely. Stinkweed Imp is the best dredger. It basically lets you draw your entire deck to your graveyard and then toolbox out anything you want. Brownscale is really good because you can loop it for 2 life. Once you have 2 of them, Tortured Existence can turn into 1 black mana, gain 2 life, and then you just do that over and over and over again. Very strong. And now on to the Disruption. 3 Fume Spitters, 3 Crypt Rats, 2 Spore Frogs is pretty standard. Some people play 3 Spore Frogs. I don't think that that's correct in the current meta. It's really bad against Affinity. It's really bad against Control. It's really bad against Combo. Fume Spitter is okay against Affinity. It's really good against fairies. It's decent against like Goblin Combo. That Grixis Familiars deck that won a challenge. It's pretty good. Crypt Rats is nutty against a lot of stuff. It is your 1 card answer to Walls Combo, Elves, Fairies. It's extremely strong. Spore Frog usually isn't even that good against anything but really aggro decks. And then for a card that I haven't really seen anyone play in Tortured Existence, but it's really strong, I play 2 Auger of Skulls. If you don't know what this does, it's basically on your upkeep, you can sack it to Mind Rot your opponent, and then you can regenerate it for 1 and a black. This is super, super strong in this deck. I've seen people play Mesmeric Fiend, but it's really like not good with Tortured Existence, because if you play a Mesmeric Fiend, you exile a card, you Thoughtseize him, then you want that Mesmeric Fiend to stick on the battlefield. You can't loop it or anything, it just sticks there as a 1/1. But with Auger of Skulls, you get to Mind Rot them, you get to loop it back to your hand, play it again, Mind Rot them again. It's one of your only ways game 1 to beat Control, because this is a very slow, grindy graveyard deck. Mind Rotting someone every single turn will sometimes even manage to beat down the Affinity 8 Thoughtcast with their new black Thoughtcast. It's such a strong deck right now. Now on to the late game. 2 Grave Scrabblers is fairly standard. Some people play 3. It's a little bit slow, can be a little bit clunky. I like 2. And then for a card I haven't seen that many play either, and it's super, super strong. 3 of Kitchen Imp. Kitchen Imp is a 1 card win condition against all the fairies decks. It's so strong at just holding down the fort. 2 mana, 2/2 flying. They can't really break past that. It's also one of the only aggressive cards in the deck. All of the other cards are just, crappy little 1/1s and whatnot. 2 mana, 2/2 flying with haste can actually start beating down the combo decks while you're mind rotting them every turn. It's pretty necessary in my opinion. It's super strong. I would absolutely run 3 of always. And then for my last non land, I play 1 Thorn, the Black Rose. It plays really well with Kitchen Imp because Kitchen Imp can take back the Monarch super easily. If you manage to land this on an open board, it'll obviously win you the game. Monarch is insane in Pauper. It can take back the Monarch from control and mid-range decks. And it's one of the only ways that you're going to be able to win the game without Tortured Existence. Because sometimes you don't get it, or sometimes they destroy it. There's a little bit of main deck enchantment removal in the format. It's also something that you can hit off of Commune with the Gods. That's an actual value engine other than Tortured Existence. I think it's a really strong card to have in the main deck. And now on to the lands. I don't play any nonsense like sideboard Oromancer. I think it's just way too slow. So I'm straight green-black with 4 Jungle Hollows, 4 Witherbloom Campuses. I turned it around on you. 3 Golgari Rot Farms for my non-basics. All of these very strong. I would play 4 of this Rot Farm, but the thing is that the green mana that it makes can be pretty bad because it doesn't go into Crypt Rats and it doesn't go into Tortured Existence. But maybe you could find a way to fit a 4th one. These are basically mandatory because they tap for green mana, cast all your green spells, and also tap for black mana for Crypt Rats and Thorax. And then for basic lands, I play 10 swamps, and I've got all different arts, random arts for my swamps, and 2 forests. So that's 23 lands in total. All these swamps are very strong, and you want 23 because you want to hit land drops until at least turns like 3 or 4. Usually it's good to hit them naturally until like turn 5 or so, because this is a very mana hungry deck. Now onto the sideboard. I play the 4th Brownscale, the good old Gnaw to the Bone for burn. This is your burn sideboard. Game 1 against burn, whether it's mono black or mono red, can be a little bit rough sometimes if you don't hit your Brownscale. So just bring in these 2 cards and you'll probably beat them games 2 and 3. Then on to my affinity hate, because affinity is busted and it's a really bad matchup. Game 1, I play 4 Masked Vandals, 1 Wickerborough Elder. I could honestly see going up to 2 Wickerborough Elder, or there's that 1 mana, 1 green, 1/1 Caterpillar that you sack for 1 and a green to destroy an artifact or enchantment. I could see playing 1, maybe even 2 of those. Affinity is really busted right now. I hope they ban ATOG or something from that deck. It's really nutty. Even with all this hate, sometimes you don't manage to win games 2 and 3. But the hate is definitely necessary to even have a chance. Then I play 3 Faeri Macabre. There's a lot of graveyard combo decks running around in Pauper right now. The Cycle Storm deck, there's Mogwarts, there's some Familiars decks, there's some Archaeomancer nonsense going around. Snapbolt, I love him, has his Evoke deck going on right now. Faeri Macabre is good against all of that, and it's really, really strong to just loop it with Torex. So I would recommend playing at least 2 of it. I like 3. And now on to the 4th Fume Spitter, the 4th Crypt Rats. I love never ever losing to elves. I love having this for Defender, right? The Walls combo deck. Fume Spitter's good against everything from Mogwarts. It's pretty good against Affinity. It's good against most aggro decks. These 2 cards are super, super strong. I love having the 4th copy of both of them in the sideboard. Then I play my 3rd and 4th copy of Auger of Skulls. I love this card. If you were going to go harder into the affinity hate, I would maybe cut one of them, but I partially have them there to hit affinity, because your Fume Spitters, your Crypt Rats, your Spore Frogs, they kind of suck against affinity in general. So you're really going to want to have turn 2 Augur into turn 3 Vandal. That's really what you're trying to do against affinity. So the 3rd and 4th copies come in those matchups. It also comes in against mid-range decks, a lot of them, control decks, and pretty much all combo decks. Augur is very good against. And then for the final sideboard slot, I have my 2nd Thorn. I love Monarch, as I mentioned in this. It is also really good against affinity. They have an extremely hard time taking the Monarch from you, and it's one of the only ways that you are going to dredge and loop into your Masked Vandals, into your Wickerboro Elders. And I didn't mention Wickerboro Elder combos with Fume Spitter, because that little guy, I'll pull him out here real quick. This little guy, sack it to give a -1/-1 counter. So you just sack it, give it a -1/-1, remove the -1 to sack one of their lands, and then you loop it with Torex to do it over and over again. Affinity is so prevalent. I play against Affinity like a third of my matches online, and this deck's okay. It's okay against Affinity games 2 and 3, and in general the deck I think is pretty solid. There's nothing really too wrong with it. There's a lot of pretty good matchups. It's slow, it's grindy, but I really like that. And if that's your cup of tea, I think that you'll really like it too.